Now we can create our scene fader. For that we need to create an empty game object, and here we will name it scene fader. And now we need to create a canvas. So here we will just create a canvas, and we are going to place this canvas under this scene fader. And we can also change the screen space to camera, and we can attach our main camera here. And we can select our canvas, and we need to delete this graphics raycaster script, or otherwise we will have problems with interacting with our buttons. The last component that we need for our scene fader is a panel. So we will go here under game object, UI, and then panel. And we will resize this panel to be a little bit larger than our screen. So something like this. And we will also change its color to be, black. So like this. Now we need to create that animation, that fade animation basically. For that we need to go under window and open our animations panel, and I will put our animations panel here, or excuse me, we need to put him here because we need to be able to see how we animate this. Now initially we are going to set the alpha channel to 0, so like this. Now we will select our panel, click here to create a new clip, and here we will go under our animations scene fader, and this will be our fade in animation, so like this, fade in. And here we will record it, so we'll go on the frame, let's say 30, so something like this, and we will select our panel, and we will pump the alpha level to 255, and simply save it. And we can also preview it, and we see that we are fading our animation, or playing that fade animation, excuse me. Now we also need to create an idle animation, so simply select our panel and again save it here in our fader, and this will be our idle animation, so simply name it idle. And here we are not going to do anything because, that's the initial animation and we are not going to touch it. Now we need to go under window and select our animator panel and open it. The first thing that we will do here is we will set our idle animation to be the default animation. Next, we will select our fade in animation and select it twice, double click it, and uncheck this loop time because we don't want this animation to loop. We only want it to play once. And simply right click on our fade in animation, copy it and paste it, and here rename it to fade out. So like this, fade out, hit enter, and set here to be equal to -1 for the speed of that animation. So this is for the fade out animation. Now what we did here is we created two animations from one animation. Our fade in animation will make the screen from white to black, and our fade out will be the reverse. And because of that we set this to be equal to -1 for the speed. So it will play from black to white screen. Now what we will do is we will go here in our project, select our scene fader and attach this scene fader script on it. I have already prepared this script here, so we have the instance, we have our fade canvas and our fade anim. So we can go back here and we will attach these components. So for our fade canvas, this is that variable, and our animator is in our panel. So simply attach those on our scene fader, and initially our canvas is going to be turned off. Now we can go back in our script, and here the first thing that we are going to create is an IEnumerator, which is a coroutine, and we are going to name it fade in animation. It will take a parameter string, which is a level name, because we want to, play that coroutine or play that animation inside of that coroutine and load our level in that same function. The first thing that we need to do in this function is activate our fade canvas, because initially it's deactivated. So we are going to say set active true. Next we are going to play our animation. So we are going to say fade anim play and the name of our animation, which is fade in, as a string. Next we are going to say yield return, and we are going to pass our new wait for seconds, and it will be 0.7f. The last thing that we need to do is say application load level, and we are going to pass our level name, which is the parameter that we are passing in our coroutine. Next we are going to create another IEnumerator, and this will be our fade out animation. Here we can simply copy these 3 lines of code. So it will be like this, except that this line of code will be, the last line here. And here, instead of true, it will be false. And instead of 0.7, it will be 1. And here we are going to play fade out animation. Now we simply need to create two public void functions which will, well, play our coroutines or start our coroutine. So here we'll simply say start coroutine, and we are going to pass our fade out animation. We will simply copy it here and paste this function, and here it will be fade in, and it will take a string as an argument, so string level name. And here we are going to, well, pass our fade in animation, so like this, and copy and paste this, well, argument that we are passing in this function. Now we can simply test this out, and also here in our fade out, don't forget to add these parentheses. So here in our menu controller, in our public void play game, we can say scene fader.instance.fade in, and here we are going to pass our level name, which is our gameplay, the name of our scene that we need to load. And if we go here in our Unity editor, make sure that on our play game button, which is this button here, you attach the menu controller and set this play game function to be the function that's going to be called when we touch that button. So now we can test this out and see if it actually works. So now when we hit our play well button, we should fade out and go in our other scene. And I see that we have two problems. So the first problem is that we need to go back here and we need to call this fade out here in our fade in animation. So when we fade in, after that we will load level and then we will fade out. So this is the first, well, problem that we are getting. And the second problem is we need to select our canvas and set the default layer to be on canvas. So now everything should be okay, and sorry for these, well, mistakes. So now when I hit play, we will see, well, that we have, well, loaded our level and the screen has faded in and faded out. But still we don't have our gameplay controller, which controls our gameplay, and we cannot play our game still. So now let us create our game controller.